very much for joining our LinkedIn. We're also streaming on Facebook, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And what's the other one? YouTube. Blank there. Into today, let me get rid of my email. We're going today into employee and get your employees on board for sustainability programs, waste reduction, recycling, food, those type of programs. Bring in the buy-in for something that can either make or break whenever it comes to us, as well as inching goals as a company into of that and engaging to do that actual habit change from your employee. Many times employees drag them along, kicking and screaming, participate corrections that your company has put, and sometimes they don't want to change their habit. But if you make it, if you make them feel the solution, then the habit change. So that's really where I want to dive into using those tactics, how to get that. So if you're here, I'm AKA the Texas Trash Zero Waste Expert and Recycling Years. Maybe more. I am Zero Waste Strategies, and we help businesses reduce revenue, deeper customer, empower your employees, a green market edge. So we build brands like Dell, AT, Purina, institutions, and the city of Austin. So work with very large corporations, but we can also waste down to a small business level. And I guess zero waste tactic, no matter what the size. So have any additional questions or after this, drop them in the comments you're tuning in from, and I'll do while we're here on this live, or I will follow up if I'm not able to get to just at that time. So a couple of slides so that we can have some there. Don't forget to follow all the socials and as well. I'm gonna get with the most up to do's and strategies newsletter as well. For that, you can also .org. That's .org and to. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the slides here. Second, and I'm down here. Let me see. There. It's not going to give me the whole thing. Dang. Do it like this. Or maybe this. Yeah, there we go. Down in the little corner like that, it can't read what's behind it. So this is a better little side here. So what the heck I'm talking about as well. So again, educating, gaining that employee for programs. So with structure, employees going to be your champions or going to be your name, and we don't want to turn to yay sayers to your green. So the structure is really corporate operations. Effectiveness comes from bottom up. Can't really see that down to a full screen. So of course at the top, your executive research and the policy. They find the funding for the members and shareholders, enforcement, in corporate expenses, and green culture. Then you have are to encourage to doing a job, right? Them for environments, training for new online, also raise employees' positions, so helping with leadership develop about accountability, certain department or on a level, you've used that floor manager. But when it comes to the employing to be able to bring the innovative ideas, they use a lot of the time and ship of these programs and your influence. So the employee's roots level bubbling up, that the managers eventually can take credit. It goes both ways. It's executives and managers have to put the implement them, but the innovated enough in order to successful and work the way so that the to their suite, how the pros are working, how taking, new strategies and the new, and the executive then do their annual report back to their, yes, these green programs and being championed by our employees. So next, for executives and managers, you can do is to campaign that employees and customers. So at this particular campaign, this is just an example in Europe, fill day, and so choose to reuse components, like fill your bottle or your milk, purchasing at the bring in your own to kind of to go where, right? It's taking away problems. So also getting involving other people in your friends and family on building the movement out, right? And then telling businesses to, when business see that behind these global, their customers are demanding these kind of green operations that are sustainable, you can understand our talks at C-suite level, the sustainability program, and then they start to come down to the employees implementation program success. So this is just an you can do internally. Even you can have a reuse day. Bring your own wares to work, or where people are bringing their napkins, they're bringing their lunch, their bamboo or steel instead of using single-use plastic, bringing in their metal saws. So you at work, they're encouraged. Maybe you've got a little app to track the points of the things that are changing their more simple acts. That's just one example here, but again, as you're on this, head ends into the chat will pop up on my end. The audio isn't rendered It's terrible. Okay. Let me see, Riddle, if I can my earbuds and maybe this can help instead. If a second, if you can tell me that if the audio is a little better. Um, hmm. Let me make sure. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can hear this. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on here. Rachel, let me know if you can hear me, or anybody else if you're having trouble understanding me. So we're going to move on to the next slide. So this is also for executives and managers to gamify trash recycling and composting programs. Look, people do not see trash as a fun or sexy topic. We have to make it fun, not necessarily sexy, but it's got to be fun so that people can see the value in their own materials and their own discards. And so when you can really take your your everyday activities that you're doing at work or whatnot, whenever people can see, they can understand that there is a value in their aluminum can, their plastics, their their cardboard, their paper. If they understand that there's value behind that, then they can understand that throwing it into the trash provides no value to that particular discard, that particular material. And sorting it properly is what should be encouraged, of course. So, um, being able to do a gamification practice like you see here at Harvard University, this is kind of student sustainability garbage games that they hold every year at, or maybe every semester, but they do this and they put a big mound of trash in the middle of the basketball gym. And people are in teams and they are required to go in and pull out materials and sort it properly, and they have to do it in a timed manner, and they have to get whoever gets the most amount right, they win prizes and that type of thing. So something to think about during, maybe, and we just had Earth Day, right? So maybe one of your Earth Day activities for next year is to get a big pile of materials into the center of the gym, get some students to pair up, team up, and be able to go through the sorting competition and get. Of course, you're going to probably need some pretty stellar prizes to incentivize the participation. So maybe you've got some student commissary bucks that you can provide, or some swag or something like that. But this is a really great opportunity to help students understand the extreme value of the materials that they're holding in their hands. One thing that people don't typically understand is that there is a connection between the materials and what happens downstream. Once it's out of your hands, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? And people don't think what happens to their materials downstream. So we have to think about how it gets to the processor, how it actually gets recycled. Is it contaminated with like food waste and grease and dog poop bags and that kind of thing? So we have to think about, are things being sorted properly at the bin system indoors? Is the janitorial crew bringing it outdoors, correctly sorting the pre-sorted materials? Or are they crisscrossing and getting the trash and the recycling and the recycling and the trash? Making sure that that's another bottleneck right there sometimes. And then also, once it gets carted off your property and hauled to the processor, do the people on the worker line at the processing plant, are they able to actually recycle what's in your load?
And it all starts further upstream with the decisions that we're making at these bin systems. So making sure that faculty, staff, and students are educated, making sure that your workers are educated, if it's a business property, getting people to understand what is and is not recyclable, what is and is not compostable is really critical to the downstream process. Oops. All right, let's move on to the next here. This is something that has been in the works with the Austin Resource Recovery Department. Their kind of their kind of team name is Austin Recycles, and you can go to austintexas.gov and find the Resource Recovery Department or the Austin Recycles Facebook page. You can go to their website and find this game, and the game allows you to play at different levels online. It's a sorting game, right? So you'll be able to, all these little pieces of material start dropping down, and you have to click and drag each one to which receptacle. Does it go in composting? Does it go in trash? Does it go to the reuse center? Does it go to cardboard, recycling? Is it styrofoam? Does it go to trash? So people are able to kind of test their own knowledge about recycling in their own area. So you might want to check out this as an example of something that you can do internally at your business, or if you go to your own city's website, if you can find kind of a recycling game like this on your city's website, then you'll be able to direct your employees to the city's website to test their recycling knowledge, and they can make it a lot of fun. So one thing that's really cool about this is that in El Paso, so I'm here in the Austin, Texas area. El Paso is still like 8-hour drive west, right? Because we're so big. But there are several organizations that have partnered with the city of El Paso to help them recycle and get cash back. So Texan by Nature partnered with Texans for Clean Water, Sam's Club, Green Impact Plastics, D6, and MeCycle to launch a pilot program that pays El Pasoans to deposit their PET thermoforms for recycling. So the studies have shown that states with monetary incentive for recycling saw 30% reduction in litter in waterways and roadways. And guess what? In Texas, we have tried to pass a bottle deposit and credit deposit and bill for, I think, 6 legislative sessions. We've tried to pass that type of bill like you would see in Michigan or Hawaii for the bottle take back, and it's a deposit reward system basically, and it's just not something that is taking off here just yet in Texas, unfortunately. So you've got this El Paso pilot project that has come about to really gather the data and to be able to show state representatives and the governor just how much people across Texas want to recycle, need accessibility, not only accessibility, but convenient accessibility. It can't be, 15 miles across town if you're going home from work, doing that whole round trip type thing. It needs to be more hyper localized, and having these kinds of machines that can take the materials and spit out, a receipt for money is a great way to help demonstrate that there's a desire for more accessible and convenient recycling in Texas. So that's just another example. I'm sure that these whoever made the technology, which is probably D6 and MeCycle, whoever has this technology, if you're interested in reaching out to them to have something like this on your business campus, your college campus, I would go ahead and take a look at the piloting some kind of program, because workers love to be able to get something, some cash back on doing something good for the planet. I think that would be a stellar move, especially showing your employees how much your business cares, right? So next, we're going to get into being able to have someone maybe on your tech team actually build out a mobile app for your employees to gamify recycling. And this would be all internal, like we had mentioned a little earlier. Track their recycling progress, earn points, boost the collective recycling rates, and boost the morale of just the whole vibe of your internal operations, and help hold people accountable as well. Whenever you see the little ticker going up on your phone app, you can see that as a collective everybody is doing their part. And you may even be able to kind of pit department to department and have some healthy competition on several different levels. So it just depends on how flexible your app is. Your app is, and this also helps tie in the local economic impacts of recycling right and recycling often. So a lot of people, when they get rid of their trash or their recycling and their food waste compost, they don't think about the downstream, who's having to handle it, but also they're not thinking or connecting the dots, or the dots have not been connected for them, that downstream product is a marketable material, right? It goes onto the commodities market for sale, and the materials that they send to the processors go to support green jobs in the local area, and it goes to stabilize the tax base as well, because the companies that are processing these materials have to pay taxes to in the state and local taxes. So it's just another thing to think about. A lot of times people will not resonate with the green eco, kind of tree hug and woo woo message around environmentalism, but uh, they will resonate with the other side of the green coin, which is the economic factor. And whenever you can detail that, if you're recycling and composting correctly up front here, then once it goes downstream, you're helping support green jobs, families putting food on the table, putting their kids through college, and helping stabilize the local tax base. So when people understand that recycling equals well-paying green jobs with integrity, then a lot of times they'll be triggered to want to participate more. You have to approach it from both angles, because you never really know what someone's going to resonate with, right? So the next slide here is about doing a waste audit. So this is me with one of our volunteers, Chris. This is out at a downtown Austin bank property, global bank property, and they've got 11 stories. It's they've got several tenants that work or not work, but they rent there, and the management of this property has called us and employed us 6 years in a row to do a waste audit to show their incremental recycling increases year on year, and so that they can get recertified for their LEED gold standard certification. And so you'll see here the zero waste strategies. Worked with managers and staff at an international banking institution in downtown Austin. This is from 2017. I need to update this slide to 2023 is the last time we did it. Of course, COVID was in there. We did not do the 2020 waste audit because nobody was at the office generating any materials. So this deep dive provided insights on the actual or the annual flow of materials using weights and cataloging the percentages of landfill trash, recycling, and organics materials. So what we do is we go in and we'll suit up and grab our tongs and gloves and goggles if you needed, masks if you want, and we get up into their waste stream up to our elbows for 4, 5, 6 hours, however long it takes to go through the sample that they want us to. And we can get down to the nitty gritty, and I'm talking down to the gum wrapper, y'all, where we're fishing through and sorting out each piece of material. And we identify, are the materials that we're sorting, are they going to the correct bins? And we can determine, there was this much trash overall, but this much contamination. This means that there's food waste, and that there was recyclable materials in the trash, which were not captured properly to a diversion mechanism like recycling and composting. So that means whoever put those materials in that trash bin either was not educated about what belongs, that they didn't realize the material in their hands was either recyclable or compostable, or they just didn't care and they wanted to just throw it in the trash. So there's we can do that for each waste stream. We can go into the recycling stream and say, okay, all this food waste is contamination, all this trash is contamination. What should be in here is just recycling. Your paper, newspaper, cardboard, your metals, your glass, if your community takes glass, sometimes they don't, you have to check and see, and of course your plastics, and be able to determine the percentages of what belonged and what didn't belong, and do the same thing for the organics. If you've got a food waste diversion program through like composting and determining, hey, all this food waste is great, it belongs here, but all these recyclable cans and bottles don't, all this trash does not. So we can get down to the really like minutia of the waste stream, and be able to develop out a full report and show with graphs and charts and all, those different percentages, and really give some some key observations and recommendations on how to reduce contamination but increase recycling participation rates and your overall diversion rate from landfill. So this is a quick look at the bank tower that we did in downtown Austin. You can see in 2017, 18, 19, and then of course skip 2020, but 2021, you can see that as we were moving up before COVID hit, they had a 33% jump in their recycling rate, their diversion rate. And unfortunately, after COVID and people coming back to the office, it really wasn't very top of mind for people. They had to get kind of retrained and reinvigorated around waste diversion and being greener while they're back at the office. And unfortunately, we had a pretty sharp drop there in the recycling rate, the diversion rate, because of that, having to get readjusted, being back at the office. Okay, so a lot of times, whenever people are making the incorrect decisions at the bin systems, whether you have 2 trash recycling or whether you have 3 like this that incorporates the back of house and front of house composting, recycling confusion can cause a lot of embarrassment. It can cause frustration, and eventually you're just going to get apathetic activity at the bin. You're going to start seeing your contamination rates go up. You're going to start seeing the mishandled materials be more prevalent. So getting a color-coded bin system is really critical. As you can see, we usually pair garbage with a black or a gray, blue recycling, green compost. Your community, whoever your hauler is, may have a different color scheme. So it's important to follow their color scheme as well. But make sure also to put the color-coded signs. And this is really great because you can do what's called a shadow box, and you can put the actual materials that people typically have. Maybe it's from the cafeteria and it's the common items. You can have the common items posted in a shadow box format where it's actually 3D, right? You've got the real life product tacked onto a board where you can show what does belong into the different separate bins, and or you can get something printed up kind of like this where you can show the things that do belong, and then at the bottom there's usually a big X or a circle with a line through it showing what doesn't belong, and a key thing with that is probably plastic bags. If you've got a recycling program and you can only take number 1s and number 2s, it's important to let people know that, a common contaminant is plastic bags. Even though it's plastic, a lot of people don't realize that the numbers 1 through 7 indicate just the resins of those different types of plastics. It doesn't mean that just because it has a number on it means that it's recyclable in that particular bin. And that particular hauler will take it and bring it to the local processor. The local processor is probably going to be like, nope. So it's important to help people understand these kind of confusing concepts around recycling, and that's why training is going to be so critical. So this really helps you set the corporate culture and expectations, and you can do things like having eco meetings. There was one very large corporation that we worked with in Minnesota that every month they had a safety meeting, and every single employee was required to go to these safety meetings so that they could cut down on accidents and lawsuits and insurance claims and all of that. So you can kind of do like a quarterly or an every 6 month type of eco meeting. It doesn't have to be as intense as your safety meetings, but being able to keep it top of mind for people so that it is fresh on the brain. And you can use green messaging, you can have zero waste events, you can develop out your green teams, and you can also make sure that there's messaging in your employee newsletters and your intra office communications on kind of like your internal server, and being able to even have your executives provide the examples and make sure that there are messages from your CEO stating on the TV monitors, we're going in this direction for green initiatives, recycling, food waste composting, whatever your program looks like. If your CEO at the top or any of your C-suite executives are saying this, workers are going to take note of that, and they're going to be able to see that the executives got the stamp of approval for moving forward on these programs, and that if your executives and your CEO have the buy-in, if they're the ones leading the program and putting working with the communications department, being able to put out the information to your employees, it's going to carry a lot of weight for your management team to be able to implement and enforce. So next up, how do you develop a green team? So this impacts cost reduction, recruitment, retention, customer loyalty, and green storytelling. So one business case for green teams is really, really important. Bringing about cost savings, attracting and retaining the best kind of top tier talent, and strengthening your brand and your image, increasing your market share as well, are just some key benefits to building out a green team. And those green teams are going to be your peers on different floors and different departments that are your champions that have always kind of been there from the beginning regarding, you know, influencing their peers and getting involved on the sustainability and waste reduction programs. So, waste reduction, from my experience, is the lowest hanging fruit of any operational efficiency. So, just like water and energy, waste reduction can help save money. And you can boost your employee morale using your green teams, this empowering platform, which drives teamwork, and you can have your staff bragging outside of company facility walls to their friends and their family about these green programs that your company is putting into place. And that word of mouth is really important. That word of mouth is what helps bring about that green branding, and it's free. So that also helps your company align with the social justice values and $360 billion in purchasing power brought to the table by Gen Z alone. In the US, it's about $450 billion globally. So being able to align with the green values of your kind of um, your later millennials and your Gen Zers. Their Gen Z is already kind of uh, out of college, right? They're starting to get the jobs in the workforce. So you want to be able to align your company values with their eco values, sustainability, social justice, economic justice, worker justice as well. So there's very, very big environmental goals and issues that they care deeply about, that you have to build your marketing on, in regards to recruiting that top tier talent and retaining them and getting them onboarded as well whenever they first come in, making sure that they feel valued and heard, that the sustainability programs are being promoted very prominently, and that they feel included, that they can take ownership, and that they can hold each other accountable as well. So the onboarding is what helps set that corporate culture, right? So making sure that they're signing their personnel policies, but the personnel policies have to include those clauses for being able to use these recycling and food waste composting programs responsibly and correctly. So getting them engaged from the get-go is really important. So some emerging trends around green teams is to focus on internal operations. So ensuring that you're doing, I guess, even daily or weekly checks of doing like bin lid lifting, looking inside the dumpsters, looking inside the internal bins on your floor or in your department, and make sure that there's no cross contamination, that there's no trash in the recycling bin, that kind of thing. I've got managers who will even take photos of what's going on in the bins and email them out to their whole department and say, not by pointing any fingers, but just saying, hey, I found this in this recycling bin. It doesn't belong there. Here's where it should have gone. And can just kind of give real time or very recent evidence of improper materials handling. So also being able to help people reduce their own footprint at home. If people are recycling at work and they're also recycling at home, that just solidifies the actions. So being able to reduce your own footprint at home is really important. People start making better purchasing decisions. They start looking for more environmentally friendly products. They'll shift to buying organic. So it really can help shift people's perspective and their own habits at home, and that's eventually going to help drive the habits and activities of their own children, right? So you're bringing up kids in an eco-friendly home, and maybe a lot of that is something that they learned at work. So being a strong business leader for your employees on the green aspect can have many effects, even downstream, even into the next generation. So also bringing consumers into the equation. So remember, a minute ago we just talked about the Global World Refill Day and how you can get customers as well as employees to act. This is something that where you've got online challenges, or you've got kind of an Ask Me Anything, where your CEO or one of your C-suite executives goes online and does kind of a Reddit forum where consumers can actually ask questions to your top brass within the corporate structure, and to be able to get their questions answered, give their ideas, more innovation, what kind of transparency they want to see, more of the green branding, and making sure that, because these are the people who, if they find out your company is greenwashing, they will immediately call you on the carpet and you'll be exposed to a PR nightmare on social media. So making sure that consumers have the transparent data that they can trust, so that they know that they can trust your product to bring into their own home, is something that builds that customer loyalty, right? And that customer loyalty, a lot of times, is something that you pass down to the next generation. So its longevity within your business is leading with these green initiatives, but also getting the feedback from your consumers. What do they want? What are they not happy with? And what can you change and be upfront about? So keeping them folded into the loop is really important, because eventually, as consumers, they're the ones that are paying your salary a lot of the times. And then linking to corporate responsibilities. So being able to show in your CSRs, your annual, your sustainability reports, letting your investors and shareholders know exactly what you're doing in order to advance the green initiatives. I'm not sure who knows or if you've been keeping up with ESGs and how investors are seeing ESGs as one of the top 5 reasons that they'll invest in a company. If you don't have a sustainability program or your plan that you're implementing, a lot of investors will turn around and walk away from your company because they need to see that responsibility. They don't want to be tied to a company that doesn't put value in helping reduce pollution. So their name is, as an investor, is directly tied to your company. So your corporate operations are really very important to them, and being green and sustainable is one of the top 5. So for managers and employees, this is really how to start your green team. So getting that grassroots energy from staff. Remember, we talked about how they bring a lot of energy and innovative ideas, and it works its way up to managers and the C-suite. So it's important to have an outlet. Maybe you do kind of an internal survey or a poll where it's all anonymous, of course, where people can submit their ideas, or they can, indicate new programs that maybe they want to come online. We had the same company in Minnesota that we worked with back in 2015 or 16. They had a whole grassroots movement from their employees. Their employees were the ones who drove the organics diversion program. They had it's a 3 million square foot campus. They had 2 cafeterias. There's 3,000 employees, and they didn't have a food waste composting system for their employees. They had one in the back of the house for their chefs and their cooks, right? But they didn't have one for front of the house. And so it was, a whole movement that was spurred by the kind of grassroots level within the company to push that, which eventually rolled out to other locations. So it's really important to listen to your employees, especially on these kind of bright ideas that they'll bring to the table. Maybe they've seen something in a previous career or at a previous business that they thought worked really well, and maybe it's not something that you have incorporated just yet in your own company. That could be a big money saver. So there's all kinds of bright ideas. You just have to tap into your employees to make sure they feel safe enough to come forward to bring those ideas to the table, and that they're actually going to be considered, at the C-suite levels. So also want to communicate and share best practices. So bringing together your champions on these issues, the ones that are usually the first to respond, the first to act, the first to speak up on these issues. Whenever you ask, what other types of programs should we need? And someone's hand shoots straight up in the air. And that's usually your person that's on top of these types of issues already. And they want to see more improvement. They want to see more incorporation of new programs. So starting to identify those people who are very enthusiastic about these particular programs is going to be really helpful to start IDing people like them, to bring in kind of a round table of your champions on green and sustainability issues, namely waste diversion. And you can engage employees on in their personal lives. So ask them about the daily hacks that they use. One that I use here at the house, my husband and I, we put all of our food waste, our food scraps, not meat, bone, or dairy, no meat, bone, or dairy, but our vegetable peels, the fruit scraps, eggshells, avocado pods, and coffee grounds, that kind of thing. We'll put them in the freezer. and we'll have a bag or a container of all of our food waste. And whenever it's full, we'll just go to the side yard at our house and we'll dump them into our compost tumbler, and then we'll give it a spin a couple of times and then let nature do its thing. So that's just one way that whenever people hear about the freezer technique, they're like, "Oh, I never thought about that." So ask your employees who are the enthusiastic people, because they've probably already done the research for you. They already figured out the hacks, and you can tap into that and just bring them to the business. So also, we had talked about engaging your customers to be part of the solution as well. Those social media challenges, even using art to raise awareness. You can do reuse competitions, or you can have your employees come together who are more, on the artsy side to rescue materials, maybe from the dumpster or from the indoor trash bins or the recycling bins, and be able to rinse them out, put them aside, and then eventually work together to do some kind of art project or some kind of mural that goes, on the wall up at the front foyer, at your business, and really helps champion and remind people that your company is a green champion. So just another idea around using art to influence other people's decision making and to help them remind them that these are things that were reused into this gorgeous art project. So you can also create a customized toolkit to support and guide your own green teams. And what I mean by that is to have some very specific SOPs. And those are SOPs that can also be relayed easily by your green team to maybe new employees or current employees that have a question about what to recycle, if this is recyclable or not, helping them understand, that workers can go to these people on your green team, and they are the ones to be able to kind of be your eyes and ears. But if people on your green team are giving different information, it's going to get very confusing, and people again are going to get embarrassed, frustrated, and they're going to start showing apathy, and you're going to see your recycling rate start to plummet. So making sure that there are some kind of couched ways to approach the different most common questions that employees tend to have, and that those employees feel comfortable going to those green team members who they see as well educated, more well informed than maybe they are. And you can always align your green teams with promotion of corporate sustainability, and your green teams can help promote maybe new messaging that's coming out from your C-suite or your managers. They can be the ones on the ground level who are helping push the messaging, and we're doing this in a new way, and oh, don't feel so down about it, it's going to get really easy really quick, helping encourage people to have maybe a bit of a brighter attitude around new rollouts and new programs. So getting them to boost that employee morale. And it's really important as well to create incentives for your green team members' participation. Remember, this is a voluntary position. They don't get paid. This is not necessarily part of their job description. It's just something that they usually have like a passion project around. So if you've got ways to incentivize that participation, it's really important. Maybe it's gift cards to a local coffee shop or a restaurant. Maybe it's to tickets to a movie theater. Maybe you have a competition among your green team for concert tickets. There's all kinds of things that you can bring to the table that will help them fight for your goals even more than just being driven by their own passion. And make sure to give special recognition, especially when new programs are rolling out, whenever you're seeing improvements on programs. Usually it's because your champions are there to cheer on their peers from the sidelines, right? So being able to highlight them in newsletters, maybe it's TV monitors by your elevators, just doing a a consistent rotation of appreciation, and maybe in your internal newsletter or your internet communications. But it's really important to keep the motivation there, and to keep new people wanting to engage as well. So even if you've got turnover from your employees, and that employee might have been part of the green team, you've got more people who are kind of up and coming and getting trained up on the specifics of the sustainability and waste reduction programs, and they can replace that person as well. So moving on, things that you can do to help encourage workers to lessen their own waste materials at the office is when ordering takeout or delivery, especially if you've got a team that orders catering or a team that orders just random boxes of pizza for delivery. It's important to, whenever you're ordering that takeout or you're going to go do a pickup or a delivery, that you always want to refuse common items that you already have on site, like condiment packets, your plastic cutlery, plastic straws, your salt and pepper shakers. Do you already have a kitchenette in your own department? Do you already have a kitchenette on your own floor where you have reusable plates? You've got the stainless silverware, or maybe it's compostable wares that you use, but making sure that the order does not come with those single-use materials, because you already have them on hand, and the same can be done at home. So people learn that technique at work and they replicate it at home. Another is to BYOB, or bring your own basics, your own, of course, refillable water bottle, a coffee mug, reusable cutlery. As you can see here, there's a little packet of bamboo cutlery, fork, spoon, knife. The one that I have has a set of chopsticks as well, so I love it. And then also bringing your own resealable food containers for leftovers, your reusable bags, and cloth napkins for meals. So just and this could even be one of those incentive kits. You can put something together like this that has your logo on it as well, for the coffee mug or the water bottle, or both, and just put little kits together for your employees, those who are leading the green team as well, and just provide them a thank you for getting involved. Alrighty, so we have just a couple of services I want to discuss. We are a zero waste consulting firm. We do have a 3-month online training course for owners and managers of small and medium-sized businesses. So on this course, you can learn key waste reduction protocols that help you optimize your hauling contracts, implementing correct recycling strategies, engaging your employees, and driving a green marketing edge. Tier 2 is more of a bespoke, customized strategic planning for large business facilities for the True Zero Waste certification process. If you're unfamiliar with True, it is kind of a counterpart to LEED, LEED, for energy, water, green building, retrofits, that kind of thing. True is your zero waste facility certification. So it certifies your waste reduction to a 90% waste reduction goal. And you get, with that tier 2 service, on-site services from us, including an in-depth waste audit, which we described a little earlier, data analysis and reporting, which we described earlier, engaging employee training sessions, which we actually break out the games. We have buzzers and bells, and we've got test your recycling knowledge games. We've got pop quizzes. We got true false. There's all kinds of things that we do in order to make it really fun and engaging on these training sessions. And then we provide assistance in navigating the True certification process, where you have to develop out your narrative and build out all of your data to show the certifiers that you have actually hit that 90% waste reduction goal and been able to maintain it. So if you're interested in either of these programs, just reach out to me on our website, again, zerowaste.org. You can drop me a message on LinkedIn, or Facebook or wherever, our business pages. Again, it's Zero Waste Strategies. And we'll be sure to get back in touch with you as soon as possible to discuss any partnering opportunities. And then the opportunity now is to drop any questions that you may have, whoever is uh, remaining on the call up until this point. We've got about 5 minutes. So if you have a question, drop them here and I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. All right, so I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. If I don't see any other questions come through, then we can end our conversation here. Again, if anything springs to mind after this, go ahead and email me, reach out through the website or either of these social media platforms, and we'll get back to you ASAP. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for your time. Texas Trash Talk.